Hi, this is Laura Workala with Laura's Sewing School in Arlington, Massachusetts, and also Sew Ingenious on YouTube. So I am working on this quilt that I got from a kit from Laura Q. Allison, and it's called Citrus Starburst. It's a fabulous colors of K facet, and they just go so well together. They are hexagons made with 12 pieces of fabric, and then there's a little hexagon from the Starburst fabric in the middle. So I want to talk to you about how to cut this more efficiently, okay? So Lori instructs us to cut our 2 strips of fabric with the fabric strips while the fabric is folded, because you need left-facing strips and left-facing triangles and right-facing triangles. So I've been playing around with this. I did a video earlier about using this the AccuQuilt cutter to help make this faster, and it does. But a lot of you don't have an AccuQuilt cutter. I have a studio cutter. And so I'm going to fold this fabric in half. Luckily, she gives us plenty of fabric to do this, okay? So I'm going to take my 6-inch ruler. I'm going to line up dots on the fold, because you always want to cut perpendicular to the fold. And I'm going to cut off this edge away from the fold to get a nice clean cut, okay? And I just put a brand new blade in here, and I do find having this original style of Olfa cutters is great, because I end up flipping it, and then I don't have I can't really do that very easily with the curved handle. So anyway, I'm going to do that. Now I'm going to move this over to do the 5 3/4 inch cut. Okay, now I'm going to take and put this cut like that. Now what I found is you use this template. Okay, I was showing on the other video how you can actually keep this from slipping by spraying it with Odif, O-D-I-F, non-slip ruler spray. Okay, so I would suggest you buy that, because it's a fabulous product. You can use it on all of these, but what's really great is even though you have it on there, you can see through it. So if you need to do any fussy cutting, you can, which is what we're going to do when we do the hexagons. Okay, so what I found is that if you can take right now, and you could just go like this and cut around this, then flip it around and cut around that, flip around and cut around, and keep going like this, all right? I find it more efficient if we cut rectangles that are 4 inches in width from these strips, okay? So what I'll do is I'll cut off that selvage, all right? Then I'm gonna cut, and this is a 4-inch ruler. I tell you, it really helps to have a nice selection of rulers, so you can just use what's the most efficient. So I'm going to cut these into 4-inch sections, okay? And then I can decide if I'm going to this right now is 4 layers, so you can cut as many as you're comfortable. I would suggest in doing this, do some practice fabric first, just to get comfortable with using the template and making sure that your cuts are working well for you. Okay, and then go ahead and see if you're comfortable cutting more than 4 layers at once. Okay, so if I want to cut, say, maybe 8 layers at once, I want to take and stack these exactly on top of each other. Okay, and maybe I'll just leave that last one as 4. So here I'm going to go like this. All right, and these are exactly on top of each other. Now this doesn't have any slippy. You see here they can slip like that, but here it doesn't slip. Do you see that? I might have even shaken the table when I did that. I'm going to gently put this on here, because I don't want to move the layer. I don't want to put any pressure yet. Okay, so now I've got this absolutely even with this and absolutely even with this. I'm going to cut a diagonal cut here. Nice sharp blade. Fresh blade is really good for that. Cut there, cut this little corner off, and then cut this corner off. I hope you can see that. Sorry, my hand is kind of in the way. Okay, so that's all set, and I just cut 8 of those all in one pass like that. Now here, maybe what I'll do is I'll go like this. I don't know if that'll help you see it better, but I'm gonna hold this kind of like this so I can set that on there without sliding it, because I don't want to slide the layers, okay? Because this is very precise, okay? So I'm gonna cut here. I'm gonna flip the cutter over so I can have the blade against the ruler. See, the blade is a lot deeper on this side than it is on this side. And if you look at it this way, like that, you'll see that this is higher and this is lower. So you want the side that has the bulk of the blade showing. to be against the template, okay? Then you can just go like that. You're going to be separating them into right facing, left facing triangles afterwards is when I would do that. So I want to make sure, and you get a lot of pretty confetti from these corners. Didn't know what to do with it, so it's gone. But all right, so I'm going to make sure that that's just right there. And I put my fingers like this on here versus like this because I get more pressure spread out. I want to make sure it doesn't slip at all. With a non-slip back, that helps, but you still want to make sure. Sometimes when it's thick, I chop forward a little bit like that, so it's not pushing the fabric too much. Go like this, go over here. I'm going to turn it so the blade will be right against that template, because this template's pretty thick. It's at least 1/8 of an inch thick, okay? Then I can go like this and set that carefully on my stack. Make sure that that's lined up on all those edges. Then I can go here, turn it so it's against there, and so I don't have to move it. I just cut on those three cutoffs. Then this one is 4 layers, okay? And that's all nicely lined up. And again, what you do is you cut the diagonal. And you might find it much easier to do the 4. You're not going through as many layers of fabric. You'll just be cutting more times around the template, and that's really up to you. I find for myself, if I have a fresh blade and I've done some practice, I feel confident doing more. And I've got arthritis, so I'm always trying to find ways to do less cuts than to do more cuts. Okay, so now I've got those, okay? So I will show you, I've been stacking these up in a box, a plastic bin here, so that I only have one more fabric to do. And so these are all ready for me to then separate into rights and lefts, and then to pair them for the pinwheels, the hexagonal pinwheels. Now I wanted to show you one more thing. When it comes to cutting hexagons, I wanted to make that maybe a little more efficient than cutting one at a time, because like I said, I'm always looking for a more efficient way to do it. So what I did is I took, and you know, the Starburst fabric, is that what it's even called? Pardon me if I don't have the right name for it, is in rows. And so what I did is I cut at where the colors changed, and then I took the strips that were the same and put them on top of each other, matching them up, and I put a flat-headed pin in the ones that I wanted to cut. This right here is going to go into the squares next to it, this hexagon template. So you can only go like every other one. So I put pins in the ones that I liked and I wanted to cut, and I figured I could at least cut 2 at a time. And that saves me some time because you have to cut 50 of them. Now, one thing I found is there is a line inside the edge here, that's the seam line. That's where you're going to be putting the freezer paper template on the back and ironing it, and then you're going to fold this part over. So as long as you have what you want inside that inner line, you're fine. So I can actually go over here if I want to center this more, because like if I center this on this block, the flower isn't centered. So I'm going to move it over a little bit, and I can always move it this way or this way. I also put that spray on the back to get it where I want it. Okay, so I right now have it where I want it, and sure, it goes more into this block than I might have, than being centered on this, but I'm getting the image where I want the image to be. And now, because there is a pin in the middle, and even though it's a flathead pin, you see I keep turning the blade to be against the template, and then here, hate to crisscross my hands, but there we go. See, so now I've got this. Now this looks like, oh, why is that there? That's going to get turned to the back. So you're not going to see this little white from the selvage. You're not going to see this. And I know that because of this inner line, which is really awesome when they put that on these templates. I actually started cutting some of these, and so I put them in a pile here. And then you see I can just skip over. Now this one's kind of going this way. So I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to bring this up a little bit against this edge, because there's room that you can have up and down. And this looks pretty good if so this is what's great about these templates. You can see through them, you know, to be able to do that cutting. And then I'll go like that and pull that away. I might be able to use these for something, so I'm trying not to cut too far into it. And I'm sorry if that's in your way. I'm trying to just not move the template and not move my hand. And then, now since it's gonna get wrapped around the freezer paper, I'm not too concerned about like that one edge that was already cut. It's going to get wrapped around. It's not a seam allowance, you know. It's, well, of course it is a seam allowance, but it's not like it's going to get sewn one to another. So so I didn't bother cutting this edge because the template was pretty even with it. So then I'm going to just hop over, and I'm doing this. So I put pins in the ones and made sure that these all match exactly the way I want it, so that when I cut it, I can cut 2 at a time and they will be centered, just like the one on top. So anyway, so that would be my hint, is that, you know, just to make it so you're cutting 2 at once instead of 1 at one time. Also, I think it's easier to manipulate these strips than it is a whole piece of fabric to fussy cut. So that's why I'm doing it this way. And so see if that works for you. You know, we all find the kind of technique that works best for each of us. So anyway, maybe I'll do another video once I get some of these other things going. Thank you.